Hi, Westside. It's Tony here for another Wednesday evening Bible study. I hope that you are having a good week, that you are safe and healthy, doing well, and ready for tomorrow. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving, and so I just want to start off our time this evening by wishing each and every one of you and your families a very happy Thanksgiving. I hope that it is a time for you to really sit and reflect that in the midst of what for many of us has been the worst year that we can imagine, that there's still so many things to be thankful for. And so I hope that you can spend some time these next few days, really reflect on those things. This past Sunday, we had a crazy passage that we dove into. It starts off with a stressed out Messiah coming with a flamethrower and setting fire to the scene. Then we have family fighting where father is against mother and mother is against son and father is against daughter, and it's just a crazy situation. Then we have a farmer who thinks that it's going to rain. Then we have a pending lawsuit about to take place. Then a tower falls on some people. And we close it out with a tree that needs help. So it is a bizarre series of events that takes place that we tried to make some sense out of. And I hope that we did. I think that we did. It was a great week of diving into the scripture for me in my studying, my research, my writing. And I hope that for you on your end, it gave you a lot to think about, maybe gave you a deeper understanding of Scripture and of Jesus. All right, so we are going to jump right in on this. Lots of different passages that we looked at that are one whole conversation that Jesus has with a group of thousands of people. What we tend to do, at least in my experience with the church, is very rarely are those 6 different things, the fire, the family fighting, the weather report, the lawsuit, the Galileans, and the tree. Very rarely, if ever, have I ever heard those all taught together. We tend to break them apart and dissect them individually. And so in looking at it all together, in the context of everything that's been happening over the course of the last several weeks, really several months, in chapter 11 and 12, and really in the first 12 chapters of Luke combined, was there anything new or different that you took away? Was there anything that had you thinking on Sunday? Maybe something that left you confused or with more questions. Take a minute if you're by yourself or if you're with a group and process that, discuss that. Was there anything new or different that you took away from Sunday's teaching? We've talked a lot the past several weeks about context. How does context change your understanding of the passage from Sunday? I gave an example of context using excerpts from Cinderella. Do you think that was a fair demonstration of context? And how is it similar or different to how we tend to study the Bible? Take a minute and discuss that. There are many of the small portions of that larger contextual talk that Jesus is giving that we misinterpret, we completely blow. And one of them that we looked at in depth on Sunday was the passage about being able to perceive the world around you. Jesus says to the people that he's talking to, you're able to look in the sky and see that it's going to rain. You're able to feel the way that the wind is blowing and know that a storm's about to come. And yet you cannot see the signs of the ages right in front of you. Talked about how people throughout human history have used that passage as a means of saying that we should be able to know when the second coming of Christ is going to occur. People have used that as a passage to say that the end of the world is coming soon. What does a real understanding within the context of the larger picture, the larger story, how does it change your understanding of that passage? We talked a lot about judgment on Sunday. In fact, the main theme, contextual theme of the passage that we looked at the end of chapter 12, beginning of chapter 13, is judgment. Judgment can be uncomfortable, even confusing to many people. That's why it's so important for us to take a look at what Jesus in the Bible actually have to say about it. So I want you to read a few verses and then discuss with your group or journal and process on your own how the Bible describes the reality and consequences of judgment. Take a minute and read Matthew chapter 13, verse 42. Now stay in Matthew chapter 25, verse 41, and Matthew chapter 25, verse 46. Look at 2 Thessalonians chapter 1, verses 9 and 10. And then Revelations chapter 14, verse 9 through 12. I know that it's a lot. Take some time, read through them. How does the Bible describe the reality and consequences of judgment? It's pretty severe, isn't it? The biblical description of judgment and of hell. And because of that, it's no surprise that it causes a lot of people to question how it fits in with the God of love. So I want to take a minute, read some more verses that speak to God's desires and the extent of his love for all of us. First one you'll be very familiar with. Read John chapter 3, verse 16 and 17. Now read Romans chapter 5, verses 6 through 8. Ephesians chapter 2, 4 through 9. And finally, 1 John chapter 4, verse 9. Biblical judgment will be a time of both reward and a time of loss. The rewards that Christians receive will be directly related to what we do here on earth, how we live our lives, our actions, and our motives. Read the following verses and discover what things will bring a promised reward. Hebrews chapter 11, verse 6. Colossians 3, 23 through 25. Luke 6, 32 through 36. And Matthew 5, 11 and 12. How do these verses that you've just read change your perspective or your understanding of spiritual rewards in their pursuit? I'd like to ask you to do something. In closing out our Bible study time this evening, take some time by yourself, even if you're with a group. Take some time by yourself and list out at least 25 things that you're thankful for. However long it takes. For some of you, it might take mere minutes. For some of you, it might take a while. Take a minute by yourself. List out 25 things that you're thankful for. That's all the time that we have. Again, I hope that you have a very happy Thanksgiving. And on Sunday, we're going to take a little bit of a break from the Gospel of Luke and spend the next several weeks looking at this thing we call Christmas. Happy Thanksgiving. Have a great week.